Why, hello, and welcome to issue 644 of Geek in the City Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Duran.
I'm one of your other hosts, Binarita.
And I am your other host, Cable Hashitani.
How's it going, everybody?
Good.
Nice.
I thought I was going to see, like, a biker disfigured by reckless Portland drivers on my way home today, but...
Cool.
But I didn't. It just made me, like, made me late-ish, and everything... I mean, not everything was fine, but...
Right, I get it.
Me, personally, not traumatized. I hope that biker is okay.
Yeah, that's fair. That works for you. Hoping that the biker's horrible day did not impact you in any way is what you're...
I know. Well, you're like, we're talking about like how our days went, and I realized halfway through, I'm like, that person could still be like really poorly off right now, even though they seemed okay. But I'm making it about me, and I'm like, this isn't where I want it. This isn't what I want to be doing right now.
Well, I mean, we didn't ask. I mean, I think it's perfectly fine for you to answer like, I'm doing good, you know. And then, like, you could have just ended it there. It would have been bad if you'd have been, I feel good. I feel a lot better than the dude who got hit on my way home. Waka waka. Like, that would have been the line.
I'd like to think that I no longer reach those peaks of insensitivity anymore.
At least not on camera.
I mean...
No, I'm messing with you. Yes,
You misinterpreted me, all right? You read what I said totally wrong. I didn't mean it like that.
What are we talking about now?
I don't know. You the other day you said, I was like, oh yeah, that's a great backhanded compliment. Thanks, Bean. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
but it wasn't supposed to be.
Cable, are you enjoying our couples counseling here?
I'm making notes.
Yeah, they're fighting again.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Also, It turns out that my constant worry about being misunderstood in this way that we're joking about right now, might be a form of anxiety. It might, or it might just be like an ADHD thing.
It typically is an ADHD trait where you over-explain in order to keep from being misunderstood. And usually you over-explain to the extent that you are misunderstood.
Yes. That also explains why many of my emails or texts, even to you two, will often end with, does that make sense? It's not because I think either of you are dumb. It's because I think I'm sounding like an idiot.
And usually when someone asks me, like, does that make sense? I'm like, yeah, you don't need to keep checking in. It made sense. It could not be more sensical.
Oh, if only our brains worked that way.
Brains are bastards.
Yeah. I'd rather have mine filled with straw. The Scarecrow came out okay.
He did fine.
Yeah, I guess he got a brain in the end.
He got a degree, which was an indication that he therefore had a brain.
Well, now I hate him, not because he has a degree, but he did it without any student debt.
Well, those were different times.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the Depression era.
That's true. I was about to say, like, shows him, I can't be lit on fire, but that's not true. I can be lit on fire. I mean, really,
not
everything.
Easy.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it all depends on how, like, cooking went. Like, if I had a mistake with the oil.
I'm going to caution us going down that particular road today.
Okay.
Just today?
There was a person who set himself on fire to protest climate change at the steps of the Capitol 2 days ago.
I did not hear anything about this.
That's because every major news source buried it. The only thing that they added was police say it's not terrorism. That was it.
How is that not a top headline?
Because it points the finger at corporate America.
Yeah, because America.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So we're not talking about that tonight.
No.
No.
I mean, sort of we are.
Right. Well, I guess what I mean is, like, we're going to be talking about a movie that has no immolation, conflagration whatsoever, if memory serves.
I'm taking a more broad interpretation of it is, of course, talking about exactly that. Because it is talking about everything.
Okay, I see.
It does have very cringy paper cuts, though,
Oh.
which was the hardest thing for me in that movie to watch. I went, no,
I
stop
have
it.
one just on the tip of my finger, and it is the
But
bane of
they
my
were
existence
these ones,
right
which
now.
are the worst.
No, I'm just saying, like, I just have like a standard one in a non-delicate area, and it is ruining my life.
I think the fact that what made it the worst was that it was deliberately inflicted.
Ugh.
Well, should we just jump right in then, since we're...
Are we done talking about our days?
My day, again, was a mixed bag. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, that was me.
I went to work. I came home. There's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's good stuff. There's weird stuff.
Yeah, I
don't think there's any bad stuff. So, it was donut day at work.
Donut day.
Yeah.
Donut.
I mean,
my work day was because I provide the donuts.
So.
Wow, donut day, arts and crafts. Man.
Fridays are usually my arts and crafts days at work, where I'm like, I cannot brain. I'm going to take on an art project that the store needs.
I just stressed out trying to remind people that Season of the Bruja #2 comes out tomorrow.
Oh, it comes out tomorrow.
Well, if you're listening to it live tomorrow, if you listen to the podcast, it's out now.
Go get it. Just put your headphones in and go.
Yeah. And never mind.
What?
I love it when I'll get messages sometimes being like, I gotta remember to get around to it. And then if it's out in their store, they're like, they didn't have it. I was like, well, did you go a month ago? No.
There you go.
Yeah. But whatever. It's fine. You haven't got yours yet, have you, Bean?
No, I haven't been to a comic book store in a while.
That's fine. It's probably in your box somewhere.
Probably.
But yeah, #2 comes out tomorrow. It's already getting some more early good reviews, which is cool. So far, it's been positive. Like the whole series has been pretty positively reviewed so far, which is awesome.
Sweet.
The closest that I've seen to a even moderately negative review was a reviewer that was bothered that by the end of issue 1 they didn't understand everything that was going on. I was like, oh, okay.
Huh.
It's not over though.
It just started.
Yeah, but you're supposed to tell them what everything is about at the beginning so that they know that they should keep reading. Or so that they can be done and not read anymore.
Yeah, I'm never going to do that with my stories.
It's too much work. Why don't you just come to their house and read them just tell them what you're thinking about.
Right.
That's what you want to write.
Just slide into my DMs, man. I'll tell you everything that happens.
Just send them all your outlines.
Yeah, just promise you got to finish buying the series. I'll tell you the whole damn thing if you really that's how you roll.
I think what that is traditionally what patrons would do. It's like, I want this art all to myself. I'm going to buy this artist and put them in a house on my property. And when I feel like looking at art or hearing art or what have you, I will just have them come to the big house and entertain me.
You know what? I will do that. It's fine.
Now we have a Patreon and it gets taxed.
Yeah.
I don't.
Patreon's also very stressful for writers. Patreon does much better on visual storytelling.
Sure.
Visual creators.
It's I think it's works well for visual and auditory media. Written media does take a little more of a challenge because it's more work, and if you're a sex worker, well, it's just right out.
Well,
because I think part of the problem is that like people still expect it to be transactional. To be a patron is not strictly meant to be, I've given you X amount of money, so you owe me X amount of product, whatever format that comes in. But the Patreon format does sort of still, the more you pay, the more you get back. And I get that that's meant to incentivize, but it also puts a lot of pressure on creators to on a schedule provide, from anywhere from like tidbits of something to full on like gift level product content, whatever the case is.
It's almost like the problem is capitalism.
Yeah. I try not to bring up my Patreon too often, which sounds kind of counterproductive. But 80% of the time when I bring it up, I either have someone lower their amount or cancel it because they forget that they had it. And they're like, "Oh yeah, I should have canceled that a long time ago."
Aw.
Yeah, it's not depressing at all.
I had a Patreon thing going because I specifically wanted I wanted what they were offering. Like they seem to be doing pretty well in terms of like their small business and their patronage. Mm-hmm. And that's actually why I ended up leaving it, is because one of their things was like the Discord, which I mean, like I wasn't seeking the Discord, but I'm like, well, I'm here, so I might as well participate. And it was overwhelming. Even when I had like nothing else going on in my day, I'm like, this is too much going on. And I'm like, yeah, I ended up canceling it because I got laid off, and I was like, I don't know what the money's going to look like for a while. So.
Oh yeah, no, I've had to lower one of mine on a Patreon that I really quite enjoy and find entertaining and helpful. And I did have to drop it when my income recently has been much lower. And I sent them, like when I did it, I wrote them like a paragraph, like, I'm so sorry. I felt guilty. I was like, as soon as my money comes back, I want to go back to this level because I really enjoy it. And, so there's that.
I get what you talk about with Discords being overwhelming, being like, I'm literally only in 2 Discords, and one of them is one that I manage, and that's more than enough.
Especially if like you're on multiple Discords and there's a lot of overlap, and with like who's on them. I'm like, okay, so this is like having 3 different Facebook accounts or like Facebook type platforms, but most of all your friends are on all of them, and so you're seeing a lot of the same content, but it's taking you like 3 times as long to get through it all.
Yeah.
And I'm easily distracted, so.
Yeah, I have on more than one occasion still entertained the thought of just like nuking my social media to the point where I'm following 12 people and that's it.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. I lack the luxury of being able to do that.
Of following them?
Oh no, I meant just being on them. Oh, following's different.
I mean specifically following only like I'd follow the 2 of you, I'd follow Merrick. Like I'm sure that there's like 8 other people that I'd go, yeah, man, well, let's follow them, and then just done.
Right.
That's not a bad idea for like all platforms, really. But
yep.
Then I'm like, I don't know. Then I would get all up in my head about like, oh, I unfollowed you because we haven't spoken since high school, and I'm almost 40 now. But like, I don't know. Like, will that hurt their feelings?
Does it matter?
That's a really good point. Only one person has ever like come around and been like, "Why'd you unfriend me on Facebook?" And I didn't respond because I want nothing to do with them.
There you go.
So,
see, and like the counter that I have to that is like, is someone going to get offended if I just suddenly unfollow them? It's like, well, wait, have I been offended when people randomly unfollowed me? No, I don't care. I don't even notice. So
Right. Well, that was a weird tangent. Issue 2 comes out on Wednesday.
issue 2 comes out on Wednesday. Go get
Yes.
Season of the Bruja.
Yes, please. That would be awesome. So should we jump into Everywhere Everything All at Once?
I think so. And like we've said before, if you have not seen Everything Everywhere All at Once yet and plan to, you might want to skip ahead to close to the end of the show where we probably start talking about Avatar so that we don't spoil anything for you.
Yeah. Also, go see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even though it's doing pretty well for the scope of its release, there's still only like 2 or 3 theaters in the entire metro area that are showing it. So it can be tricky for people to go see it.
Oh, I don't think I was not aware of it being a limited release.
Well, it's the size of releases that A24 does. They don't do massive releases.
Mm-hmm. Is it still playing at the Hollywood?
I believe so, yeah. It's still at the Academy. I think Century Eastport or whatever has like a screen for like 2 showings a day.
It's also at Living Room.
Ooh.
Oh, that would have been good.
It was. That was where we saw it.
Yeah.
I went to see it at the Hollywood.
Yeah, we saw it at the Academy. All cooler places.
We covered a bunch of the independent theaters. Support your independent theaters in your hometown, folks.
That's right. So, and speaking of spoilers also, it's like, I would say don't feel like you have to tune out because it's almost a spoiler-proof movie in that there isn't some plot point that makes you go like, it's just not that kind of movie.
This is true. And it's also knowing the plot or knowing points about the movie doesn't. Yeah. Sorry. To reiterate what you said, it is spoiler proof in that way, in that the importance of this movie is your own personal experience with it.
Right.
Everyone's experience with this movie is different based on who they are and what kind of life they're having, what kind of life they've had, or where they're at in their life.
That's a very good way of putting that.
To me, when I went and saw this immediately, I started rejuggling my top 10 movies in my head because this went on that list. Like, I think it's sitting firmly behind Buckaroo Banzai, to be quite honest.
Wow.
And Buckaroo Banzai is my number 1. So now it's Buckaroo Banzai, Everything, and then Big Trouble. In Little China. Big Trouble in Little China, not Big Trouble. Yeah, that's a completely different movie.
Yes.
There is a... if you were going to cover any school of philosophical thought or several schools of philosophical thought in a popular movie, you can do it one of 2 ways. One is successful and one is not. You can either be very serious, take yourself very serious, and be very serious to the topic and cover everything that you would cover in a philosophy 101 class, and that's going to bore the shit out of your audience. Or you can realize that trying to explain philosophy through a popular movie is absolutely absurd, and you turn directly into that. That is the only way discussing philosophy in movies works, and that's what this movie does.
Yeah. I mean, we can give like a quick little... Yeah, it's I like that it opened. I like basically that its plot or its story when it starts is very much that cliche phrase that is also true. Everything that the only thing that no one can avoid, I'm saying it horribly, is death, taxes, and also laundry.
Mhm.
We all have to fucking deal with that. One of them only once, as a rule, but the rest of them, we have to deal with it all the time,
Yep.
over and over. It does
It's
not get any
ridiculous that
easier.
the actual plot of the movie is Chinese American matriarch does her taxes. That's
Yeah,
that's the plot of the movie,
yeah,
and plans birthday party
right.
or New
Yeah,
Year's
so the
party.
New Year's party with her father coming in from China,
Mm-hmm.
her husband wanting to address their marital issues,
Mm-hmm.
and their daughter wanting to bring her girlfriend to the
Grandpa's party.
to the party so that she can officially like announce, like, you know, Michelle Yeoh's character just keeps saying like, it's your friend, and she's like, Mom, no, it's not just my friend. Her dad seems totally fine with it. He's super excited when the girlfriend comes over because his daughter's happy, so he's happy.
Mm-hmm.
The grandfather deals with it completely differently at various stages in the film. Yeah, and then and that all sounds really kind of benign and almost banal. Like, I think that's the point.
Yes, it
It's
is.
just the tedious nature of life as we've built it. You're overwhelmed by your career, like your relationship maybe takes a back seat, your kids have their own life, and every once in a while you all try to get together and have this party where you put on your best faces. Rinse, repeat. You know? They're getting audited by the character played by Jamie Lee Curtis, who is clearly having the time of her fucking life making this movie, by the way.
I don't think she's ever played a character quite like this before.
I don't
even just like the plain, you know, like foil core character, however you want to describe that, like
Deidre.
That like prime universe that everything starts from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then things get weird because an alternate dimension Wayman shows up.
Universe,
sorry, yeah. Wayman shows up, who is her husband, played by Ke Huy Quan. Yeah, and then literally like all multi-universe hell breaks loose. We'll kind of just go from there, I guess. So.
Yeah, I think it's one of like I don't know that it's the first ever, but it feels like the first ever movie where it's the chosen one, right? Like the that sort of concept is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They have like searched high and low for the one person they think can actually save the day from the big bad menace, and it's not only a woman, but it's an Asian woman.
And older.
Mm-hmm.
And much older, yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably been some movies that have hinted at it. Like, you could argue that Rey is the new chosen one within the Star Wars universe, but that's not the focal point of her. That arc is not the focal point of the story.
Well, and even if she was, that's just like the next generation. It still started out with a dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, the best way for me to review this is just kind of to go through some of the emotional beats for me, not even like the story elements, although there are story elements that like I was not ready for. I was not ready for a compelling fucking fanny pack foo fight. Like, I never expected a fanny pack to ever look that badass. It was kind of great.
Did you listen to the interview with Ke Huy Quan about that?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. Oh, I was going to listen to all of them and I forgot.
Yeah.
That was take 2.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
He screwed the pooch on take 1. He commented on the fact that take 1 did not go well, and he looked over at the Daniels and he saw panic on their face of like, oh fuck, we don't have enough time to reshoot this more than.
Yeah.
Like, if this doesn't work, this doesn't work. So take 2 was the fight that we all saw.
Yeah. He
got that in 2 takes.
Which is just pretty freaking mind-blowing. Yeah, like, again, for me, it's like the different emotional arcs that have, you know, the hits for me. watching Michelle Yeoh able to switch emotions so quickly depending on how she is jumping,
Mm-hmm.
um, and make it seem completely natural in every way. It does not feel artificial. She goes from despondent to rage to legit movie star. Like she's jumping around all within sometimes when she's sitting in the same chair. Um, and it's just mind blowing the performance that she gives in this film. It's simply amazing.
Which is why she did the movie in the first place. Like that's what she got. She said that she got from the script.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, nope, I have to do this. This will actually allow me to show people what I can do on screen.
Yeah. And it's funny, I've heard a few people like they're kind of surprised to like see some of her comedy timing. And I'm like, I'm not. You haven't watched enough Michelle Yeoh movies then. Like like especially say what you will about her character in Star Trek Discovery, but the Empress like lives or dies on her snarky comedic timing. Like her performance. And she just like nails that stuff.
Yeah, that's one of her major superpowers.
Yeah. Her ability to cripple you with that and then an eye roll, is impressive.
She can deactivate holograms by blinking at them.
That's right. Yeah. Hiku Kwan's character, or K, I just reversed it. Sorry.
Ki Hui
Hui Kwan. My brain literally flipped his name on me.
Sure.
Which is fun. He was. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I spend a lot of time practicing these names, just sitting around saying them out loud to get used to saying them because it's tricky.
Right. He was, for me, his portrayal of Waymond was probably that was the big emotional gut punch for me. His position within the family, kind of regardless of the universe he's in, he kind of always has the same role, just to different extremes and levels.
He got to portray different versions of himself, but none of those versions were wildly different. He's almost like the constant in her life.
Right.
Even in the universe where they did not end up together.
Even in the universe where humans evolved to have hot dog fingers, although he doesn't show up in that one.
You're right.
No.
That is one of the universes that we do spend a lot of time in, even though it's not exactly vital to events. Until it is. Eventually it becomes like super useful. The hot dog hands universe.
It's played for laughs, but it's also played for that allows two complete strangers who were brought together by bureaucracy to form an emotional connection to one another. Like that is the bridge between Evelyn and Deidre.
Yeah, especially when in the, I guess, Prime universe, there is a subtle theme with Evelyn and a not so subtle theme with Deidre is that they are worried that they are not lovable and are not worthy of love. So in the ridiculous hot dog for fingers universe, that's how they juxtapose that these two are actually should be together in this universe, which allows them to realize in their own, or at least through Evelyn, that they are both worthy. So
I do think that I most appreciate Stephanie Sue's characters though, because
she corrected an interviewer. It's HSU, but it is pronounced Shu. So it's Stephanie Shu.
Gotcha. Try to like cement that in my brain right now. So Stephanie, she plays the fewest number of characters.
Does she?
Objectively, I suppose it could be argued, but even though there are multiple iterations of her, and like she gets to have like the most amazing like aesthetic vibes everywhere she shows up.
She does get the best costumes.
But to me, it felt like she played the fewest number of individual characters, because she's one iteration who is traveling to the different universes, where she's usually destroying other versions of herself, right?
Yes. So she, talking about schools of philosophical thought, she has embraced nihilism to its fullest degree, in that she understands, or believes that she understands everything. She put everything on a bagel.
Everything.
And that was what showed her that it's like, oh, absolutely nothing matters. Nothing, because everything matters, so nothing matters. And that is if you've ever had to have a conversation with someone who's a diehard nihilist, it's hard. Like, how do you convince someone who is convinced that nothing matters, that something matters,
right?
That they matter, that anything,
right? Yeah.
I mean, you go for the obvious joke and say, well, you are matter, so
Nah.
But so she gets to play this like extreme version of her character, who's like not only like a diehard nihilist, but is also like, you know, how do I phrase it? Like she's dangerous because of it. You could argue that like she, like, even death means nothing to her, and then that directly links her to her, like, the core version of her character, like the in the mundane world. At no point do they ever really come out and say it, but like she talks about like how much she struggles, and like how easy it would be if like people would just let go, and it's two sides of the same coin. She's just like really, that version of the character is trying so hard to just like get through life and be seen and be appreciated for who she is, and like just get the fuck along with her mom. And like I said, like, she never says it, but it sounds like sometimes she doesn't think that it's worth trying.
And that's one of the central themes that I believe is what helps people connect to this movie. Especially in the past 2 years. How many of us have been there? How many of us have felt that way?
Oh man, I think I was there a couple times last week.
See, like that. That's the beauty of Jobu, is that they're right, and that's like at some point in our lives, whether we have acknowledged it or not, we have been Jobu. We have gone, fuck, none of this matters. None of this matters. Why am I doing this? Why do I still hang around? And those of us who that one of the ways to manage that particular feeling is to be your own Evelyn, which is the person that says, yeah, I've been there. I'm still here because things do matter.
Right.
And like that was it was amazing that was such a simple theme that this movie was trying to get across, is that we just want to be loved, we want to be needed, and we need at some level someone to validate the fact that we know that you feel hopeless. It's not that there are things to still have hope for. I think that was the key person Sorry, that was not a pun. The key person to do that was Waymond, played by Key. In that you're right about him being a constant in all the universe. The constant core him is what he said to Evelyn, which was like, stop doing all of this. Like, she's ready to fight. Everyone's ready to fight. She's like, there is another way. There is always another way, and that way is kindness. You have to be kind. Just be kind.
I actually memorized this line because it messed me up so hard.
Please.
You think because I'm kind, it means I'm naive, and maybe I am. It's strategic and necessary. This is how I fight. I was a wreck from then on.
Oh, I spent most of the movie in tears.
Yes, let's get that out of the way right now. It's like, pack some fucking Kleenex or like steal extra napkins from the dispenser because you're gonna fucking need it, man.
Yeah.
No, I had to go home and take a nap. I was just shook by how many different things that this movie made me feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not just like, and for folks who don't know, like, the whole movie isn't a bunch of you going like, oh my God, but there are also times where you're just laughing your ass off at moments too.
Yeah. Again, there's a universe where everyone has hot dogs for fingers, and there is a lot of hot dog in mouth, and then like splurts of mustard
Nacho
and
cheese.
ketchup,
Oh,
and I'm
mustard,
like, is that? It does look more like nacho cheese, but I think it's supposed to be mustard because it's mustard and ketchup. If you're eating nacho cheese and ketchup on your hot dogs, you're a monster. Don't at me. But regardless of what the ingredients are, why are they gushing from people's mouths? Is it saliva? Is this how they sex in Hot Dog Hand universe?
Do you really want to know? I mean, do we want to go down this road?
No, we don't.
We
don't want to go. She asked the question. Rhetorical. She didn't want the answer.
Right.
Don't give it to her. When I ask questions in that cadence, like just rapid fire, don't answer any of them.
It's purely rhetorical.
There's also a scene where there's someone is using two enormous dildos like nunchucks.
Mm-hmm.
That is purely for laughs.
Mm-hmm.
As
is the butt plug scene.
Oh my
god!
When that trophy shows up in Act 1,
you
fucking
knew
it was going to get used.
That's Chekhov's butt plug right there.
So
I hope you watched it.
So what I love about that is the guy in that fight scene. I immediately looked at and went, "Huh, that's Death Dealer from Shang-Chi."
Mm-hmm.
That is yes.
Yep.
I'm gonna say his name. Where did it go?
That's Andy Lee, right?
Andy Lee. And his brother Brian Lee was the other one.
Oh.
So
in that fight scene, but what's great is they are credited as Alpha Jumper Trophy and Alpha Jumper Bigger Trophy, which means butt plug and probably in plunger.
Spoilers.
Yep.
But it doesn't give anything away. People will be like, "What the fuck are they talking about?" And then they're gonna get the scene and be like, "Oh, that's it."
Yeah. Like, we can tell you all of these things. You have to watch this. This has to be an experience of your own. Because telling you about the movie does nothing.
No.
You have to experience the movie.
We talked about this, right after the movie came out. If you want an idea, I guess, of what you're getting into, there is the Daniels' other productions. The music video, Turned Down for What?
Turned Down for What?
From the late great poet, what's his face?
Lil Jon.
And a movie that I really love, and I actually ended up watching it again that same weekend that we went to go see Everything Everywhere, is Swiss Army Man, which I think you need both of them to like get a good feel for what you're going to get in this movie, because they're two very different products. but you get something, you get tastes of that in this movie from both of them.
Yeah, I like in the when he was on They Call Us Bruce, Quan had mentioned that he didn't even pause when the Davids gave him the script because they're like, these are the two men that made me love a movie with a farting corpse.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I knew I wanted to be in it, you know.
And that movie also like has a really big message of like, why do we exist? Like, what are we here for? What is the point of us and each other?
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I don't know, like objectively, if you told me like, oh, what's this movie about? Oh, well, it's really gonna make you think about like how we treat each other as a society and like what really matters to you. Like, you know, like when you're on your deathbed, how do you want to feel about your life? That doesn't really sound super appealing as like a pitch for a movie I want to watch. But I think at the end of the day, that's like really what the Daniels seek to do with their storytelling, is like really fucking gut punch you with your own existence.
And to no small degree, the music video for Turn Down for What also has these same elements.
Yeah.
It's
really weird, but I'm not wrong.
No, you're not wrong. I think I focus a lot more on like the offensive parts of the music video, and I'm just like, I didn't need any of this, but that's wrong. That's unfair. There actually is a very similar message in that music video, and it's like if you wanted to boil it down, it's like, find your fucking joy, bitch.
I find it fascinating that not only is that the Daniels production, it actually, the lead character in the music video for Turn Down for What is Daniel Kwan of the Daniels.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also talked about this in interviews. The interviews that we keep mentioning, to plug another show entirely that we have no connection to yet, is They Call Us Bruce. I need to get that fucking email together and get it sent over. But yeah, They Call Us Bruce has a full spoiler-filled review of the movie, and then 3 interviews from the press junket that they did for the movie. So they have an interview with Ke Huy Quan, they have an interview with Daniel Kwan and Stephanie Hsu together, and then they have an interview with Michelle Yeoh or Yeoh Choo-king. And they're all great. They're all great to listen to, and they all kind of cry about the fact that they were in this movie, like tears of joy. I think for as much as the 2 hosts of that show love Michelle Yeoh, they spent the most time geeking out over Ke Huy Quan,
which makes sense considering their background.
Yes, and because and their ages, they're like, you were our guy. You were our guy. You were the Asian kid in these huge movies. We could go, I can see myself in this movie because I can literally see an Asian kid in this movie.
Right.
Is one of the leads. So, yeah, his journey back to being in front of the camera instead of behind it is fascinating and depressing and frustrating, but mostly it's joyous that he's back. The timeline in this movie is weird because this was all filmed in 2019.
Oh, I don't think I realized that.
Yeah, it was a pre-pandemic filming, I think.
And then everything, its release all got delayed by the pandemic.
Right.
The release, or like some of the post-production and the release?
I think both of those things, because part of so the cast, Stephanie Hsu was not the original casting for Joy. Aquafina was.
Mm-hmm. Which I like Aquafina, but she would have brought a wholly different dynamic.
I love Aquafina. I can't see her like performing to that role.
I can. It would be different. I can see her do that, but the because I don't think of Aquafina as just like, I think Crazy Rich Asians is peak Aquafina as far as people think of her
Sure.
in movies. That's why I'm so happy with the performance that she gave in Shang-Chi, because it was very un-Aquafina.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She was probably the most accepting and least judgmental person in that movie. But the reason that she couldn't do this movie is because she was flying to Australia to go work on Shang-Chi. So they're like, oh, well, we need someone else. And they hired Stephanie Hsu. And then Shang-Chi called and said, hey, we want you to play this character. She's like, damn it, I'm doing this other thing. And she's only in Shang-Chi as their friend at the bar scene that bookends the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was a reshoot. So that was like a year and a half later reshoot. It's like, hey, we're in LA, we're shooting these scenes. She's like, cool, I'm there. So that's how she ended up in Shang-Chi as well.
That's cool.
Yep.
So that's 3 actors who were in both of those movies.
Mm-hmm. But Ke Huy Quan had talked about the fact that he saw Crazy Rich Asians, said it gave him FOMO.
Right.
And he's like, and that was what springboarded. He's like, I'm going to get back into acting. He called a friend, who became his agent. I forget if it was 2 weeks or 2 months. It's still a very, very short amount of time that he said, I'm getting back into acting. I have an agent. His agent brought him this script.
Wow.
That's how fast that went.
Out of nowhere.
Yep.
And that actually puts a little bit more context behind the anxiety of the fanny pack scene.
Mm-hmm. Because he's like, I don't want, like, he's still been busy. Like, I didn't know any of these things. Like, he worked as a stunt coordinator on X-Men.
Yeah. He does a bunch of other stuff too.
And
he does have 15 acting credits.
And then
but it's just like sprinkled out over the last 40 years.
Yep. And a lot of it is not memorable. Like, it was those 2 movies, it's Goonies and Temple of Doom, and now it's this.
Mm-hmm.
But like his job working on X-Men ended up putting him in a room with Wong Kar-wai, who he then went to go work with.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, well, that explains a lot. It's like, if I had to make the decision between, do I want to take my film school degree and keep trying to get acting jobs that no one's going to hire me for because I'm an Asian male, or do I want to take everything that I've learned in film school and go work with Wong Kar-wai?
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, you jump on that one.
And tying into that, the whole sequence of the universe where Michelle Yeoh is essentially playing herself as a film starlet.
The martial artist turned film star.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And reuniting with Waymond from that universe, who's a successful billionaire from getting into tech. It's like him there in the tuxedo, hair slicked back, better frames. It's like you're throwing some. That entire scene felt like it was clipped out of a Wong Kar-wai movie.
Yeah,
and which was on purpose. That's what that was supposed to feel like.
Ah, excellent.
Yeah.
I will also add, like, the Crazy Rich Asians quick clip is actually taken from the red carpet of Crazy Rich Asians.
Mm-hmm.
I thought some of those were real footage.
So
they are.
I'm waiting for someone to slow it down, but this sounds like a weird brag thing, but I have watched so many Michelle Yeoh movies as a kid and then as an adult. That hyper fast, like literally, it's 2 frames. There are a few times I'm like, I know that movie. I know that movie. Like there's a like her Bond movie is in there. I'm like that. And they can probably get away without asking for permission because it's so damn fast. It falls
Right.
under fair use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The original script for this movie was that the character's name was not Evelyn Wong. The character's name was Michelle Yeoh.
Okay.
She was going to play an alternate universe version of herself, connecting with all of the other versions. The reason they didn't move forward with that is because Michelle said, she's like, I get this. This works. I get it. However, where it will fail as a film is that everyone will get stuck on the meta conversation about how I'm playing myself.
Right.
It's not going to work. It's not like Nick Cage being able to play Nick Cage in a movie. Like that is definitively something that we're all going to go watch. I'm going to go watch it anyway.
Oh, heck yeah.
And he's talked about that. Like he is very hyper aware, and that's been something that's been part of his career, especially his later career in the past 10 years, where he's like, what level of Nick Cage do you want? Do you want like a 2? Do you want a 7? What do you want?
Which is funny. The movie he's got coming out now, he had to be convinced to do it. He was like, this is too much. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. He has said in interviews that this is one of the hardest performances that he's had to do because he's not playing himself. He's playing other people's perception of who he is.
Right.
And that's got to be fucking weird.
Yeah.
So there's a degree where Michelle Yeoh was like, that's like, I don't want to do that in this movie. It's like, I believe in this character. Let's give her a real name. Let me explore her. And that way we can still do all of this thing. And I think she was right. Like,
yeah,
we would have gotten caught up and it would have felt like just too much. It would have felt more like parody rather than absurdity.
Well, then, even if it's not, the issue of like, oh, now it's become a parody, there's already so much message or so many messages, however you want to look at it, that to add also that element of like, I am playing myself in an alternate version of myself would just be like one thing too many, like oh, you used one too many flavor elements in this dish and now it's weird.
Yep. It's like, I don't understand this flavor profile at all.
Also kind of bounce around a little bit too with some of the other performances. Something that I don't think gets talked about a whole lot. Both Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis did their own stunts in this movie. So when you see them bashing each other, they're doing it. That when Jamie Lee Curtis's head gets slammed through a wall, granted it's drywall, it's not that dangerous. That's her doing that.
I didn't think that she was going to be an actress whose career I was going to be invested in when I was watching horror movies as a kid.
Right.
But she's fascinating.
Yeah, and it's funny. I had a moment watching everything, probably about halfway through when stuff's really going at it and they're kind of facing off in one of the scenes. I had this moment where like the fanboy in me went, "Holy shit! You're watching a movie with arguably the first like true female action star fighting the first Scream Queen. Like you're watching cinematic royalty up there go at it. You're in nerd heaven." And I'm like, yes, I am. It was just so fucking cool.
There are other interviews with more of the cast where she is like, I think there's a Vanity Fair or a Esquire video interview with like Michelle and Key and Jamie Lee and Stephanie. And not to bash Jamie Lee, like this isn't a criticism, but she dominates a little bit of the interview only because she's nerding out over all of her cast members the entire time.
Yeah, that's very much on par with her too.
Like, she is such a fucking nerd about the things that she loves.
She goes to premieres and cosplays.
Yes, she does.
Aw, I didn't know that about her.
She went to World of Warcraft premiere in her favorite orc costume.
Do you know that is one of the things that she's still irritated about, is the fact that she wasn't in the World of Warcraft movie?
Yes. And she is now marrying her daughter, performing the ceremony in a different World of Warcraft, because the daughter wants a pop culture, come dress as your favorite, whatever. So she's like, and yeah, she lamented. She's like, now I'm really bummed about supply chain issues because I found a really good creator online, but they're shipping it from here. And I'm really worried my costume's going to be late for my daughter's wedding.
Aw.
Yeah. She unabashedly loves like everyone that she was working with. She's like, I'm working with Michelle Yeoh. I'm working with Ke Huy Quan. I'm working with James Hong. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I think her exact quote was, I'm strapped to wires fighting Michelle fucking Yeoh.
Yeah.
So,
Norm, I hope that answers your question of how much fun do we think Jamie Lee Curtis was having on set.
And then the other person I want to talk about really quickly, he's got an important role, but it's in terms of screen time, it's pretty small. God damn that James Hong. He's a wily old man. He's just, because it's so weird. It's actually more weird for me to see him play someone that is less than ambulatory and not full of his senses, because I know that's not James Hong. So when he then cuts loose in that scene, that I won't talk about. I feel like that's kind of a fun thing for you to have sprung on you. But you're like, oh yeah, there he is.
Honestly, it's just weird to see it. For me, it's weird to see him because I'm mostly used to him voice acting.
Yeah, in fact, he voice acted in one of the last episodes of Avatar that we watched.
It was the same episode the same episodes that we talked about right after having seen Everything Everywhere. So that was actually like really funny.
In a way, I think kind of maybe like Cable. Everything I see James Hong do is on the sliding scale of subtle Lo Pan or over the top Lo Pan, because that's just, I fucking love that movie so much, and I love his portrayal of Lo Pan in every different incarnation of Lo Pan in that movie, that I can't help, whenever I see him I go, okay, what are we gonna get? Oh boy. You know. So
I think that it's funny that you mentioned that his performance, because he's not just an old man. There is a performative aspect to him being an old man in this. That's the same thing with Michelle Yeoh. Like, it took me a few minutes to adjust to the fact that she was putting on an accent. Like, if you listen to her give interviews and then you listen to the performance that she gave in this, it's like, that is not how you talk at all. You are very much putting on like, there is more of inflection and more of an accent from someone who is from mainland China.
Right.
Something I wouldn't have caught, but one of the reviewers from They Call Us Bruce was talking about the fact that both Ke Huy Quan and Michelle Yeoh were going back and forth between Cantonese and Mandarin in their Chinese. And because they were supposed to.
Oh, they're supposed to.
I believe they were speaking Cantonese specifically to James Hong's character, but then speaking Mandarin between themselves. Or I have that backwards. It's one of the two.
Backwards, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I do have it back. So they're speaking Mandarin to the father/grandfather, and Cantonese among themselves, which is why Joy didn't understand what the grandfather was saying. She didn't speak Mandarin. She only spoke Cantonese.
Yeah.
Which are still two different versions of Chinese.
And they do sound different too.
Yeah. And then interspersing that with this English word and that English word. It's like that felt like that was not the household I grew up in. I did not grow up in a multi-language household. But I have been around families that are dual language, and that is what that sounds like. Where it's a string of words I don't understand, an English word, more words I don't understand, a sentence in English, and then more sentences and stuff. That's like, this is amazing.
I don't know what the Chinese version is, but we just call it Spanglish. Yep.
That's my conversations for sure. Although we only use the one kind of Spanish, unless you count like the gibberish like play words that I don't know other people use outside of my family.
The closest things that I can think of are when you refer to Pacific Islander languages that incorporate some English word and some native words, and it's referred to as pidgin.
Right.
I don't know what the Japanese equivalent is. I can only think of it in print form, where it's referred to as English, where you use English words to sell things that have nothing to do with whatever the product is that you're selling.
Yeah.
Or it's kind of a Japanese word and kind of an English word and not really either.
Jen has many
English
that she bought in Tokyo that have what could be described as that written on the back. She's like, it's probably not they were going for, but okay.
Oh, she really enjoys that sort of thing. Yeah. What's that T-shirt that she like duplicated?
I don't remember.
I think it had the name Jen in it. I think it part of what tickled her so much.
Yeah. I'll have to look for it again. I'll find it when I do the laundry.
This is true. But yeah, it's neat to know how much of that was performative, and it's like, okay, these are 100% characters. These are characters you're portraying, and it also makes for, like, you don't have to know the fact that they're speaking Cantonese and Mandarin. It's still very immersive and allows you to be a part of this family. I think I was struck too by the fact that I think in broad strokes, this would have worked had this been any immigrant family.
I think so.
Because there are things in there that if it had been a Mexican family or a Russian family or and Somali family, there are elements that all of that is universal.
I think so. I think the only thing that would really change is the business, because culturally in America, Chinese basically were only allowed to own. You either had a restaurant or a laundromat. I think if it was a Mexican family, it would very likely be a restaurant. Yeah.
That they still very much.
Yeah, but it does have a very much universal American immigrant story, like immigrants to America story.
Which I was really impressed by, considering that it was the script. They've said this over and over. It was written for the people who were in it.
Sure.
So I was very happy about that. It's like, oh, that's good. I'm glad that you could map this over onto someone else, even though it was written specifically. That says a lot about what story you're trying to get across and what universal themes that you want to get across.
I think part of it is that the narrative can be universal. It is the nuances that become specific.
Yes, very much so.
Which is a good lesson, I think, for anyone who wants to tell stories, is that tell the story.
Right.
Tell the story. You can figure out all the other things that you need to, but like, find things that connect us all universally and then tell that story, because those are the stories we need to hear.
Yeah.
We need to hear stories that are going to connect us and show that connection between us, and then help lift us up.
No, I agree. That's I'm going to avoid a shameless plug here. So,
And I think that is a story that is reflected in Season of the Bruja from Oni Press,
that's right.
written by Aaron Duran.
I have gone out of the way to tell people that it is not a
Drawn by
Mexican
Sarah
story. That's right. That especially if you have any kind of immigrant past, you will see yourself in this in certain elements. Like that was the point.
Yep.
Just to bring it around to a couple of laughs. Norm says Lopan Peter Pan is the name of my all trombone BTS cover band, and that's a joke that only halfway makes sense unless you've been in the chat. And Kevin says that he had a tote that he bought in Xi'an that with text reading "Aloha Sunday morning bling you." I'm not sure where I was supposed to put the inflections there, so I hope that sounded okay.
Nowhere. You don't put any inflections in it. It's just
none.
Aloha Sunday morning bling you.
Yeah. I think Jen's shirt is something like Rock and Bling, Happy Jen or something. It's an odd write up.
English.
So, should we take a quick break and then come back with some Avatar?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. And we're back. I guess we're taking a real break really quick.
Denise is taking a break.
That's true. That's right.
In case anyone was unclear, we all clearly love this movie. Go see it.
Oh yeah.
Go watch.
Go watch it. And I think this weekend I'm going to try to see The Northman. I'll see that. And well, I know Jen wants to see Unbearable Weight of a Massive Talent. So I'll wait for that.
Yeah, I don't
I'll probably
know
see The Northman on my own.
I don't know how to map all of this out. If that's true, we should talk.
What's true?
If you're going to go see The Northman on your own, we should talk.
Okay. Yeah, she has no interest in that one, and I really want to see it because, it's David Eggers doing a Viking revenge story. How am I not going to want to see it? With Bjork as, I think, a Norse goddess.
Yep.
Of death. Okay.
Yeah, the entire month of April was amazing for movies, and next week we've got Doctor Strange. It's just well, I should take that back. Morbius is still clearly a piece of shit, but
are you guys gonna see that?
Morbius?
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I'll eventually, if it's free. I'm not paying money to go see that movie.
No.
Okay, good. I was worried that you guys were going to want to see it as completion, being completionist. And I'm like, well, then I'm going to have to go see it so we can talk about it. But
no.
I really don't want to give that guy any of my money.
We're talking. Not really.
Not part of anything.
No.
It's a Sony produced movie, so it's tangentially related to anything they do with Spider-Man, but it's not in the Marvel universe.
I don't see them doing a crossover, so
no. Well, they just announced El Muerto.
That's just us.
It's a ripoff Bane, who literally appeared in 2 issues of The Amazing Spider-Man back in 2006.
Great.
But they're bragging Marvel finally has their first Latino superhero movie, and I'm like, great. You picked the cliched luchador criminal who even to Spider-Man fans was like, who? And Bad Bunny's going to play him, the actor, singer Bad Bunny.
I don't know who that is. And it's a remake.
America Chavez is in a Doctor Strange movie in 2 weeks. 1 week.
I know. I think they were maybe specifically thinking like a Mexican Marvel character.
America Chavez.
No, she's Puerto Rican.
Okay.
It's a whole thing, man. Trust it. Yeah, it's a whole
thing. I know she's also from another universe, but
I know
she's from Puerto Rico in that universe.
All I'm saying is, Marvel, you've got White Tiger just sitting there. Anyway, also hire me to write White Tiger, please. That'd be awesome. Should we jump into Avatar?
Yes.
Actually, okay, you guys start up, and it is my turn I have to run upstairs.
Go pee.
Oh.
What episodes were these? These were episodes 7 and 8. I just watched them last night, and I don't remember the title of them. Oh, yes, I do. Episode 7 was Zuko Alone, or something. And episode 8 was watchable.
It was called The Chase.
The Chase, thank you.
So yeah, I wrote very few notes on that one.
Yeah,
let's start at the beginning.
Episode 7 is Zuko Alone, and it is literally a Zuko episode. There's no Avatar. None of the other characters are in it.
Correct.
It is solely like him doing his own Clint Eastwood style thing where he rides into an earthbending town and befriends a kid, and now I'm all by myself. It's now the Cable Show, folks. But yeah, that's so this is Zuko by himself, and he befriends a young kid and takes on bullies in the this earthbending town. And by bullies, I mean they're the town guards, but they're men who did not go to the front to fight in the war. I honestly don't know what happened to everybody. This is weird. Do.
Oh no, what happened?
Oh, hi. Oh. Everybody fucking left.
I'm so sorry. Aaron actually said he would be right back. I accidentally hit a button. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here talking to you, and poof, you were gone. I'm like, hey, it's the Cable Show now.
I don't know where Aaron went, but he said he was leaving. That's like he at least gave warning.
Yeah, I'm back now.
I'm just a dum-dum.
Water. My throat hurts really bad.
Anyway, I gave the recap of the episode with Zuko.
Oh, Zuko Alone?
This is the one time I will allow this joke. The one time. You're watching
on the text,
cable TV.
You're watching cable TV.
Should we go? Should we go?
No, we should not. All right.
We got.
I did that on purpose.
You son of a bitch. We got so much Zuko payoff so quickly. I was not expecting that they were just going to throw this much backstory and like essentially explanation about why Zuko is the way he is, and how it parallels like what is going on around him right now.
Sure. I think that they're definitely setting up his redemption arc. So this is part of it. The move that Nickelodeon made with this episode that surprised me the most is that they're like, by the way, children can also be psychopaths.
Yes, they definitely laid that groundwork.
Yeah.
They in no uncertain terms have said that Azula is a psychopath. She lacks empathy entirely. She as soon as she figures out how to kill her father and take over the throne, she's going to. I'm going to say it now. I think she's an unredeemable character.
Yeah, I could see that. Like she is
yeah,
cruel and manipulative and doesn't really seem to have any sense of remorse for the things that she does.
Like that whole hey mom, this is how Azula feeds ducks, and throws an entire loaf of bread at a duck and tries to drown it. She's like, what is wrong with you? Why did you think that was funny? It's like, but Azula does it. Isn't that okay? And she's like, nope.
Right. You like for a bit there, I was getting the feeling that like the mom did not see like what a little shit she was until she finally does. But that was pretty fucking flagrant. She's like, when grandpa dies, you know, like what's up with that? It's like so blasé and ruthless.
I think that the mother knew. The mother understood it, that her daughter was not right.
Do you think that had anything to do with why she ran away?
I don't think she ran away. I think she's dead.
The mom?
No, I think she took off because she wakes Zuko up in the middle of the night to give him like cryptic messages about like, you know, like just you know, be who you really are. Don't let anyone take that away from you. And then she disappeared. Unless she knew she was going to get killed, but I don't know.
I think she was killed. I think she was offered up as sacrifice so that Zuko could live.
Yeah.
Because Zuko was going to get killed. Like that whole bit that Azula said, Dad has to kill you so that he knows what it's like to lose his firstborn son.
Yeah. Here, I wrote it down. It was.
I don't like his whole reaction was Azula always lies. Azula always lies. It's like, yeah, I think this is the one time she wasn't lying.
You must know the pain of losing a firstborn son by sacrificing your own.
Yep.
Yeah, I wasn't super sure if I believed her or not because
100%
because she's super manipulative.
Sometimes telling the truth can also be a form of manipulation.
Well, then how do you think that Azulon died, since that happened on the same night?
I'm pretty sure Ozai killed him.
So,
I think
that's how I read it too.
I think Ozai killed his wife. I think Ozai killed Azulon. And I know Azula.
So that means hold on. But that means that Azulon says to Ozai, "You have to kill your son Zuko." And if he decides instead to kill his father, Azulon, why would he still go through with killing his son or agreeing to kill his wife in place of his son?
It depends on the order of operations as to when he killed who. Like from what we've seen of Ozai and what we've heard from Zuko, Ozai would have totally killed Zuko. He would have gone, "Oh, okay."
That's true. You can see the favoritism in the flashbacks, even though Ozai has no dialogue in any of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they were trying to limit how much dialogue they were giving him so that they could keep under wraps as much as possible that Mark Hamill is Ozai. Because that was some fucking stunt casting. Like it, you know, when we first heard Ozai in the flashback, one of Zuko's first flashback episodes, it's like, wait a minute, I recognize that sinister laugh. That's the fucking Joker. No, I do think she's dead. Apparently there is a comic that is tied into the show that takes place after.
Yes.
And then there's a flashback issue that explains exactly what happened to Zuko's mom.
There is, yeah.
But yeah, that was my take, is that they just fucking killed her. Yeah. If I had been Ozai, I would have killed all three of them. Like, Azulon should have gone, killed off the wife, and killed off Zuko. Because he already knew, like, he had no use for Zuko. Azula is the only one that he's like, yeah, I'm going to keep fostering this until she gets too dangerous and is going to try and kill me. I'll make sure that I use her as a weapon until I can kill her off too.
That all scans.
Yeah, because I'm sure he has for the way they've, based on the information they've given to us about Ozai, he's a megalomaniac. So, which means trying to become immortal is somewhere in his grand scheme. So he doesn't need heirs.
Cool.
Whether, you know, whether that's a real thing or not in their universe, that's Got to be part of his mindset.
Oh, and we also got to learn a bunch of stuff about Uncle Iroh.
Yep.
Firstly, he is actually the firstborn, was supposed to become the next Fire Lord. And we talked about this when it was mentioned in the first season, the Battle of Ba Sing Se, where he surrendered. Or he didn't surrender, but he gave up the siege. Now we know that the reason he did that, you had said, I believe, Cable, that it was something strategic. Like, this is bullshit and I don't want to do it. Because he's not super into this war that his brother is pursuing. Now we know that it's because his son died and he's pretty fucked up about it. And he doesn't want to fucking fight this war.
Yep. That would definitely be the thing that would make him go, oh, you know what? My brother's full of bullshit. Although I guess it's not his brother that was pushing him to do it. It was his father.
Yes, that is the other thing, I guess, that we learned. I didn't extrapolate quite that far, but you're right.
It was the
It's just
the war of the Fire Kingdom. Like,
right.
It's this progressive expansion until they can take over everything. You know, like America.
What?
Again, for anyone who's missing the symbology, the Fire Nation is the United States.
The Fire Nation is us.
Yes.
We're the bad guys. But yeah, we got to see Zuko have a little more growth as a character. He's still tried to do the right thing, even though it cost him even more. Like, being who he was made him yet again a pariah. Like, this small town's like, well, we can't do anything to you because you're the fucking crown prince of the Fire Nation, but we don't want you here.
Yeah.
You got to go.
He reveals himself first as a member of the Fire Nation by using fire to save this kid from these assholes, and which I don't know, maybe would have been okay. Like, it might have been a little bit touch and go, but he did save that kid, so they might have appreciated it by outing himself as the fucking heir to the Fire Nation. Which turns out people know how that's been going for him. It really fucking fucked shit up, and he went from the admiration and like a misplaced love from this kid to just straight up hatred.
Yeah, the gossip travels fast in Fantasy Asia.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's been exiled for a long time.
Like 2 years, I think.
I was always under the impression that he had already been in exile for kind of a while before, like when the show starts.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
But I still think that's like 2 years. Like, when he spoke,
I thought about 3.
He's a 16-year-old. When he spoke up against his dad, he was somewhere between the ages of 12 and 14.
Okay, and I guess. How long do you think they've been traveling together now?
Who?
Aang and the other kids. Like how long? What would you say the time frame is in world for the show?
Based on when the comet is supposed to come back, it's still inside of 6 months.
Okay. Well then, yeah, I guess it really hasn't been all that long for him. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, because if I'm remembering correctly, that was the kind of the deadline that Aang was given, is like, yeah, this comet's coming back in like 6 months. And he's like, oh, shit. I'm supposed to learn fire bending, water bending, and earth bending in 6 months, and take on Ozai. Okay, thanks, Destiny. That sounds great.
No pressure at all.
None.
All right. And then real quick, because I know we're coming up on time, do you have any thoughts you want to share about episode 8, The Chase?
I mean, visually, that's one hell of an episode for me.
So, like, I don't know how I feel overall about the trope of putting the two girls against each other in the troop. Which I don't know how they would have done that any other way. Like when they're like Katara is trying to get Toph to pitch in and not seeing that Toph has this chip on her shoulder of like, no, I'm taking care of myself. You take care of you, because she feels like she has to prove herself over and over and over again. So like
Right.
they were both right and they were both wrong. But like neither Aang or Sokka are the ones that are going to say, here's the chores list, everyone do this, everyone do that. Like getting Aang to pay attention to anything for more than 20 minutes is asking a lot. And Sokka is more reactionary than he is precautionary.
Right. I think the problem isn't the trope of these two girls not getting along. It's that Katara was written the way she's written, and the other and the boys were written as more carefree and reactive or less domestic, I guess, for lack of to really boil it down. Like she's the one who cares that these things get done, get done correctly, that it's that the work is equitable. Yeah, so like if anything, the problem is that they wrote Katara and Sokka in those tropes right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because now it's established that that's the kind of girl that she is, the kind of person that she is. And then Toph comes along and they establish right away that she's got an attitude about the way she's been raised, because she was sheltered, but also super entitled and privileged. It's exactly what's going to happen. It's I don't like it either. I absolutely agree, but that's the only thing that makes sense because of the way the characters were developed.
So I'm hoping that lasts this episode and we're done with that particular dynamic.
Hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Aang and Sokka and Katara all sort of figured out their shit eventually.
And they're also all still figuring out their shit. And again, it gets back to, this is two 16-year-olds and a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Or a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 12-year-old. I forget their ages. And Toph is right around the same age as
Aang.
I'm not sure if this is the death of Iroh at this point.
Oof.
Ooh, that was brutal.
Yep. Which again cements the whole Azula is a psychopath.
Yeah, she really does not care that guy is her family.
I'm also starting to think that Asuka, I know they keep saying it, but I can't shake this whole character point of her that she's actually not a firebending prodigy, but that she wants it so bad that she just pushes it on herself so hard, which makes her even more dangerous.
I don't know, because we got those flashbacks in the previous episode where she's showing off her grandpa and she's fucking killing it, while Zuko, who in the same episode we see him like kick 6 dudes' ass, is nowhere near as talented as she is, or at least not as skilled at that time.
I know. I think that's just, I'll have to spend more time thinking on this, so what I say makes more sense.
I follow what you're talking about. I do think that is part and parcel of making Azula the way that she is. Like it ties into her being, if she's a prodigy at firebending and it comes easy to her, then it's not work. It is just, which falls more into, she's due everything that she asks for because she thinks it is. That's why she, like, the 2 girls that she's now traveling with and using as bounty hunters, they're not friends. They are considered friends because they grew up together, but Azula doesn't have friends.
No,
At all.
she treats those girls like shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those two girls are friendly with each other. They're not friends either because they have different agendas. Clearly, like I don't think any of those three. I think the jury's out on the. Sorry, I don't want to be so absolutist with the gymnast because I've seen things from season 3. So, but Dart Girl, she also doesn't have friends because she's like she's the sociopath to Azula's psychopath. But they're definitely not friends, and I don't think Azula can have friends, and so like things coming easy to her would feed into that whole narrative of like, yeah, I can just do this because I can. Screw it.
Think you can have things come to you easily, but still be driven.
And she is, but I don't know what that drive is.
To be the next Fire Lord.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I'm reading anyway.
Yeah, that's a read that makes sense.
I am still curious as to why her powers look more like electricity at this point.
That apparently gets explained soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
I asked, like, I have a coworker who is Avatar: The Last Airbender is their favorite thing in the world, and they've been after me to watch it for the entire time I've known them. If we ever have a spot where she's like, I want to be on your podcast, I want to be on your podcast, I want to be on. I'm like, okay, I get
we'll figure something out.
Yeah. But yeah, she says that the whole blue flame / lightning gets explained a little more as we get into this season.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. I think that's a good place to wrap up the show. Yeah. Next week, we'll probably have more Avatar. Maybe we'll talk about the Northmen, depending on what happens over the next few days.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah. Right.
I know we're coming up on the.
We'll have.
I was gonna say we're coming up on the end of things, but I think we're like still a couple of weeks away from being able to go. And here's what we thought about Picard, and here's what we thought about Moon Knight, and
we are getting close though.
Yeah.
In fact, I believe this week is both of their penultimate episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I think 5 for Moon Knight and 9 for Picard. So we're getting up there. Yeah, for sure.
So fast.
And then next week is also, which cracks me up, that it's on May 4th. The premiere. No, it is May 5th. I forget. It's May 5th is the premiere of Strange New Worlds.
Yay!
Oh shit, that's right. May 5th.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh my god. Woohoo! Cool. Well, that all sounds like we got a lot coming forward. So
yep.
With that, I'm Aaron Duran.
I'm Benarita.
And I'm Cable Hashitani.
We'll talk to everybody next week. Hooray!